everybody. It's time for another edition of the Daily Racing Form Weekend Preview. Very excited this week because I got a good buddy of mine joining us, Matt DeSantis from NYRA Bets. Alexa Zepp is out one more week on vacation. She's gallivanting. She's out all over the place. I'm watching her on social media. She's having a blast. But Matt, we've got some business to handle this week because it's all about the newly turned 3-year-olds. They're going to kind of take center stage this week. There's a big race at Gulfstream Park. There's a couple Kentucky Derby points races to get into, but that'll be in just a minute. Matt, let's introduce you to everyone out there. Matt DeSantis from NYRA Bets. Tell the folks out there what you do, Matty.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Gino. It's an exciting time of year. Happy birthday to all the horses who all turned 3 the other day.
Yep.
And yeah, for NYRA Bets, I do a lot of content on social media, whether it's on X or whether it's on YouTube. You can always check out the videos we have, race previews, full card analyses, handicapping and betting tutorials. A lot of great content on NYRA Bets on the app and on the website. So people can check it out if you're a horse player. You're not just up in New York, but we cover tracks across the country and across the world.
And we brought Matt in because this week in our final segment, we're going to talk about one of the big races out at Aqueduct, which is the Jerome, where they have Kentucky Derby points on the line for some of the newly turned 3-year-olds. So that'll be in segment 3. We got a lot of ground to cover in our first couple segments. So segment 1, we're going to head over to Gulfstream Park for race 10 on Saturday. It's the Mucho Macho Man Stakes. And Matt, we'll do a horse-by-horse preview for this one. It's not a race with Kentucky Derby points, but we have 3-year-olds, and many of the barns and many of the trainers and owners use this race as a stepping stone to other races in Florida where they have Kentucky Derby points on the line. So an important race as we meet the field, and we won't have to go far to meet the likely favorite in this field. Matt, Guns Loaded comes out of a race at Churchill Downs where he was super impressive. It was his second career start. He won. He went right to the front end. He beat a couple horses who came back in their next start to win, and he looks like the one they'll all have to catch and beat in here.
Yeah, absolutely. We should say trained by Jose D'Angelo, who has been off to a very scorching hot start at this championship meet at Gulfstream Park. He's got some really nice horses. This one was an $800,000 sale as well, sired by Gun Runner out of a Bernardini mare, classic pedigree that you would expect to handle not just the 1-turn mile, but eventually 2 turns. Like you said, these horses are pointing towards the Holy Bull, the Fountain of Youth, potentially the Florida Derby later on down the road.
So Guns Loaded, really quick. He'll have to deal with some other speed to his outside. One of those horses is the number 2, Macho Music, who will take the blinkers off. I know he's really, really quick, but all of his races have been between 5 and 6. He seems a little one-dimensional. I respect his speed, but I'm just kind of worried in this field with a lot of other speed if he's like the fastest of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And it'll be interesting to see. Maybe the blinkers off relaxes him a little bit. Maybe he can learn to rate there with Jose Ortiz up on the mount. But I agree. He feels more like a 6-furlong sprinter who's got a nice future in front of him. He's a nice horse. He's got some really legitimate speed. But again, it'll be interesting to see how he responds to the blinkers being taken off.
The next horse, McKellen, is another Jose D'Angelo runner. You were talking about what a great job he's done recently. Yeah. And the 2 horses he has in this race, they kind of complement each other with their running styles. Guns Loaded, if you're looking at the pace projector, you see the 1 up towards the front. The 3, McKellen, he can sit off the pace a little bit more. And that could be really key in a race like this, just knowing that you can sit behind horses and pass them, right?
Absolutely. And he has the top jockey, Irad Ortiz Jr., up on the mount. So you know this horse is going to take some additional attention. What's interesting to me is this one's sired by McKinsey, but was only a $50,000 sale. I mentioned that because McKinsey was a pretty hot sire for his yearlings and 2-year-olds. And so the fact that this one has already kind of exceeded expectations, I think, is notable. But like you said, good barn and great running style for this particular race, and ran really well last time out in a second-place effort going a mile at Churchill Downs.
What's so difficult about races like this and these races early on in the year, you have a lot of horses that are all coming off of good efforts. Like Treaty of Rome hasn't done a whole lot wrong in his career, but you just got to kind of stack him up with the rest of the horses in this field. This is going to be a lot tougher than what he's faced.
It is. And, shout out to Dylan Davis, who's making his appearance down at Gulfstream Park now to ride. He's usually up here in the winter in New York, but he's down in Florida. I don't blame him for that change.
He's the NYRA champ in 2024, right? He had the most wins of last year.
Yeah, he had a huge breakout year at Saratoga and then kept it rolling up at here at Belmont and Aqueduct. So, but this one for Chad Brown, is definitely going to be facing a tougher group. I mean, that group last time out, it was a nice group, but nothing compared to what he's going to be facing on Saturday. So hard to really project this one. And I think this one also might have a future on the turf.
Next horse that's a little bit interesting is Cool Intentions, the number 5. He lost to a lone speed winner in his debut, and what we know from him in his last 2 starts, he can sit behind horses and pass. I don't know if down the line he's going to be a 1.25 mile Kentucky Derby horse, but on Saturday he could get a really nice trip if they go quick early on. He's already beat some of these horses, and we know he can pass horses.
Knowing that a horse can pass other horses at this age is a really critical thing to see on
Yep.
the past performances, and sometimes that just elevates you right there. I do think this one's pretty serious. It is interesting, that race 2 back, the Baton Breaker. You don't know how good the quality is sometimes in those more local Gulfstream maiden races before
Yep.
the championship meet starts. So I think this is still a little bit of a class test to see how he stacks up against the best in this group down there.
The real wild card in the race is the number 6, Septarian, because this is a
Mhm.
horse who debuted at Charlestown going 4.5 furlongs, and then at Laurel Park. Those are not two of the bigger main circuits in racing, but
Right.
now he's moving into the Chad Brown barn. So you're like moving from a lower level up to like one of the absolute best coaches in the game right here. Can Chad step this horse up a little bit? I mean, if you're just talking about speed figures, he has a really high speed figure last time out. He's just a total wild card. We have no idea how good he really is and the company he's been facing.
Yeah, it's really tough to kind of know what to project. He's 3-1 on the morning line. I think that's kind of a little bit of my hesitation is just how short of a price are you willing to
Completely
take on a
agree.
horse that is moving up in class like this and also stretching out, has only ever run 4.5 and 6 furlongs, now going a mile. Again, I think the pedigree, particularly underneath, might point more to the turf. So it's interesting to see. Maybe this is just a precocious horse, and maybe they can get some, potential Derby preps in his future going down the line.
The price is really key with him though. Like I wouldn't want to take less than 3-1, like 5 to
No.
2 ish on a horse like this in this field. No, thank you. I think there's value elsewhere. Rolando is another one that's really quick, Matt, and
Yeah.
he can win races when he gets comfortable out front. But I'm a little concerned about in this field with horses like the 1 and the 2 who are really fast. What kind of trip will he get in here?
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's notable that you see this as one who won in debut and then stretched out to 7 furlongs the next 2 races and kind of fatigued late both times. And again, I think this is a really nice 6 furlong sprinter in the future. Also sired by Vacoma. Got off to a very hot start as a first crop sire, but I do think you're starting to see maybe some distance limitations from his offspring as they stretch out to going a mile or over. So that's one I think is going to be there early, might not be there late though.
If you're looking for a fun price horse in this race, it might be this one, Matt, the number 8, Naughty Rascal. If you go over this horse's entire body of work, all 5 races, he's never run a bad race. He's won twice here at Gulfstream Park over the main track. He won going a mile on the turf, so we know he can get the distance. And I love his running style in this race where he can sit close, but he doesn't want to be right on the lead. And when he's drawn to the outside, that can kind of help him, I think, keep kind of in the clear and pass some horses late. I think he's at least a try player in here.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more with you. He's my one of my top selections in this race. I think he's a fantastic value at 12-1. Never run a bad race, like you said. Has the ability to pass horses, kind of sit from off the pace. I think there's a lot to like here, and I think the fact that it's slightly lesser connections, you're going to get a good price.
And then rounding out the field, Sonic Skedaddle. You could probably put a line through his most recent race. He just had a slow start and never got into it. 2 starts back when he broke his maiden, he was very impressive, but his lack of speed kind of hurts him because he has to come from way,
Yeah.
way out of it.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of deep closers doing well in these one-turn mile setups at Gulfstream Park, so probably a little bit of a tough one to get behind in this spot.
So there's your field for the Mucho Macho Man. Let's take a look at how we're going to end up and go with our selections here. Matt, you're going to go to the number 1, Guns Loaded, who was so impressive last time out. You'll put the 1 on top of the 8, 6, and 3. So we were just pointing out, Naughty Rascal could offer you some value underneath. I'll go with the 5, Cool Intentions, getting a trip from off the pace. 5, 3, 1, 8 for me. We'll take a quick break. When we return, we'll talk about the Gulfstream late pick 5 for Saturday. But for all of you out there, don't forget about the offer we have. You can use that coupon code right there on the screen, and you can get a free all-access past performances for the DRF PPs. We'll be right back after this quick break.
There's A lot of bowl games. I love all of them. Even if you don't like bowl games, you gotta love the Pop-Tarts Bowl and what it means for college football.
Who doesn't get excited for Pop-Tarts? But also, this is one of those where, Ben, I guess you could put your kids through college. Miami doesn't care about bowl games. They don't ever win those. Miami's a favorite. They usually go take the Iowa State Cyclones. Miami doesn't play any defense whatsoever, so you automatically just bang the total.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
How do you find some of this great talent that you've brought in, who are still early in their career, might not have a ton of tape on them yet?
I've been around this business, man, for almost 20 years. So a lot of these guys will tell you that I popped into a lot of gyms, sparred or just worked on the side or, kind of worked out, just watching. I've always loved this sport, man. I think it's the greatest. And we want to continue to put on the next up-and-coming superstars. We know we got them.
Only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Okay, we're back and we're ready to talk about the late pick five for Saturday over at Gulfstream Park. There are two stakes races that end the sequence. We already talked about the Mucho Macho Man. That's going to go as race number 10, but the pick five starts in race number 7. Remember, this is like a parlay for those of you who are sports bettors out there. We need to hit every race in this parlay, but we can use multiple horses in each race. It'll just cost us a little bit more every time we use an extra horse. So, Matt, it starts out with a pretty tough $10,000 claiming race on the synthetic where a lot of horses kind of look the same and you can make cases for many. But you and I had, I think, the same top 2 and the same horse right on top in the number 9, Mailman Money. Why don't you talk a little bit about the 9 in here?
I like this one just because you go back and look at the races this horse has run on the Tapeta surface down there on the synthetic, and you have to go back to this time last year, and those are really nice races. Strong buyer speed figures, good effort, the ability to track the pace. I think that's so important when we talk about the synthetic, particularly going long. You rarely want to be on the lead. You also don't want to be a deep closer. You really like to sit that tracking trip going 2 turns on the synthetic. That's the sort of trip this horse is going to sit. Also dropping down a little bit in class, was running in a claiming 20 last time out, now dropping down to a claiming 10. I just think you have Johnny Velasquez up on the mount for Kelly Breen. I like this one. Good value, I think, as well, 5-1.
Yes, we've talked about the races many times together. A lot of my notes had you're dropping in class, you're getting back to the synthetic surface, and there's not that much early speed in this race. He could sit a pretty good trip, just like a little bit off the pace, sitting 2 or 3 lengths behind. The 9 Mailman Money is the one that we both like the most. We're also going to include the 6 Onesto, who is proven at Gulfstream Park, who's a horse who will come running. You just feel like it's a good spot for this one. So we'll be 2 deep in here using the 6 and 9, trying to get out of race number 7. That's the first leg of the pick 5 sequence. So hopefully we get through there and we turn the page to race number 8. This one, Maddie, is a Florida bred maiden special weight race. So these are newly turned 3-year-old maidens. They'll be traveling 6.5 furlongs here. I think towards the outside of the field, you probably get the real strength. You have a couple horses in the 7 Oleg and the 8 Just Relax. They're dropping out of races where they faced a very nice horse named Rated by Merit, who's been one of the fastest horses in their age group so far. They don't have to deal with him. So for them, those two, they get a little bit of class relief. They're probably like the 2 horses to beat in here based on the company they faced.
Absolutely. You see rated by merit in the running lines, and you have to automatically elevate those horses. For people who don't know, rated by merit has run 4 races and has never run slower than a 92 buyer speed figure. I mean, this is a horse that is a serious Kentucky Derby future. So you see the large margin of defeat. Don't really take that into consideration because of the
No.
quality of competition that they were running against. I really like Just Relax as my top selection. This one trained by Jose D'Angelo, very sharp trainer with Irad Ortiz Jr. up on the mount, one of the top jockeys in the country and in the world. So really like this one. And but this also feels like a race where you could go maybe a couple deep.
Yeah, we'll use a few others. The 4 Flood Zone is another horse who comes out of a good debut where he was second. I don't know how strong the race was, but I think he was a horse coming out of that race who could definitely step forward. Then to the outside, I'm seeing the 9, He's a Beast. I'm seeing Mr. Beast commercials all over the place. He's everywhere right now. But when you're looking at a first-time starter, you had a Dam who won twice. You had a horse who's a horse named Noble Drama, who is a 10-time winner and a multiple stakes winner against Florida Breds. 5 of the 6 siblings won, so the pedigree's there. The barn is 2 for their last 8 with first-time starters. And if you go even bigger, of the last 5 years, they've won about 12%. So this checks a lot of boxes for things I'm looking for with first-time starters there. So we'll end up going 4, 7, 8, and 9 using 4 horses to try to get out of race number 8. We turn the page to the 9th race. It's a mile on the turf in here, and another race, Matt, where we had the same top 2. So I didn't even have to go a little bit farther when we were building our ticket. We had the 2 Mount Oreb and the 10. Talk a little bit about Mount Oreb, who the form is just really good overall. It just feels like a nice fit in this race.
Yeah, very much. I mean, this is a horse that it just, was very consistent at the maiden special weight level. And it felt like this horse just finally kind of started stretching out and really ran a great race last time out, came in up 4th, but the second and third place finishers both came back to win next time out, coming out of a race at Churchill Downs. Again, at tracks Irad Ortiz Jr., all he's doing is winning 29% of his mounts during this meet. 7-2 on the morning line for a horse that really appears to be very versatile between either the synthetic or the turf and has really never run a bad race. So I thought that one made a lot of sense. And then the 10 also makes a lot of sense. So you can talk about Navy SEAL maybe a little bit if you'd like.
Yeah, if you look at the races that Navy SEAL is coming out of, he's raced 4 times since coming to the U.S. after he ran in the UAE Derby against Forever Young, who we just saw win a big race the other day. And Forever Young was in the Derby and in the Breeders' Cup Classic, and he's going to be pointing to the Breeders' Cup Classic next year. But you see a horse named Flat Hanby who won 5 in a row. You see Carson's Run, who's a multiple Grade 1 winner in the running lines. Even in the last race at Churchill Downs, where Navy SEAL finished 4th, the 5th place finisher came out of that race and won a first level allowance race at Santa Anita last week. So Navy SEAL exits some strong races. We're going to use the 2 and the 10 to try to make it through race number 9. Race number 10 is the Mucho Macho Man. We spoke about that one a few moments ago. Just to recap the picks for everyone, we're going to use the 1, Guns Loaded. We're going to use the 3, McKellen, and the 5, Cool Intentions, the 2 horses we think can sit off the pace a little bit. And then we've got a fun long shot in the 8, Naughty Rascal, who could offer us some really nice value. So 1, 3, 5, and 8. We'll turn the page to the Ginger Brew, which will round out this pick 5 sequence. That's going to be race number 11 there. I thought this was a tough race, Matt, where, a lot of horses you could use in these 3-year-old fillies. And I think you included one of the horses that I like too, the 2, Love Trevere, who's a fair price. But talk about like your major contenders in here. Who are your top picks? We end up going 2, 4, 8, 10. So we're 4 deep in here.
Yeah, my top picks was Civetta, the number 8 for Brendan Walsh. Just a barn that I really like. This is a Godolphin owned and bred horse. Obviously, that reputation speaks for itself. Coming off of a win in a stakes company last time out with Irad Ortiz Jr. up, should be able to sit a tracking trip. A lot to like there.
Yeah, so if we put them all together, we can take a look at the pick 5 ticket. It's a $128 ticket. We don't have any singles, but there are 2 races where we shorten up a little bit. We'll use 2 horses in the 7th with just the 6 and the 9, and then 2 horses in the 9th with just the 2 and the 10. And there are a couple races where we don't have short price favorites in there. So if we hit this ticket, it is going to pay very, very well. We have a $128 play. However you're playing it, we wish you the best of luck. And when we return from this commercial break, we'll start talking about the newly turned 3-year-olds looking for some Kentucky Derby points this weekend at Aqueduct and Oaklawn.
We'll be right back. It's time for a SportsGrid 2-minute drill.
Time now to play a little buy or sell. The Kansas City Chiefs, George, will win their third straight Super Bowl. Are you buying or selling?
They do seem to be hitting their stride. All right, they get now, 3.5 weeks off here, get everybody healthy. Mahomes, the ankle, Kelsey gets the rest. Chris Jones, who missed that game on Christmas, now he gets the rest of it. He's an extremely important part of that defense. So they're looking good. They're covering spreads now, something they weren't doing. Now they're actually winning legitimate games. That being said, that offensive line is still bad. All right, and I think there'll be teams that take advantage of that. No, I'm selling. I'm selling here.
I don't even care if I believe this or not. I'm selling. I do not want to see this. I do not want to see the Chiefs win again. This has not been a fun year watching them. They've gotten lucky. They've gotten some calls. No, please no. Jamar Chase will win the receiving triple crown this season. Yards, receptions, and touchdowns. George, you going to buy or sell this?
I'm going to sell this. I'm going to say, listen, he's great. He's going to have a lot of great numbers here, but I'm going to say no, he won't get the receiver crown. Maybe 2 out of 3. He'll just miss. He'll do a little Aaron Judge. He won't get the average.
All right, I'll play the buy. I'll play the buy card just to play something different in the end, and he was my best player in fantasy this year, so I'll say buy there. I'm going to skip ahead, Sam, to the last one, the running back here. Bucky Irving, who's been fantastic for Tampa Bay, will be a top 8 running back in drafts next season. Is this buy or sell?
Assuming everybody comes back, Godwin, Evans, Mayfield, I see no reason why they wouldn't. I'm going to buy this, Craig. I'm going to buy. I think Bucky Irving is going to be that guy. It's a heavy passing offense, lots of touchdowns. Buy.
Fantasy Sports Today, your weekend source for year-round fantasy insights. 8 a.m. to 11 a.m.
For our final segment this week, we're going to talk about the Kentucky Derby points list, and we have a couple races this weekend where you have horses trying to get some points and get qualified for the Kentucky Derby. I believe we have a graphic that shows the Kentucky Derby points leaderboard right now with the standings, and no surprise to see a couple of Bob Baffert runners up towards the top. But Matt, basically between now and April, every week to every 2 weeks, there's going to be another track that has a prep race where there's big races, big horses picking up points, and we're going to be following along over the next 4 or 5 months.
Absolutely, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Obviously, as you get deeper into the season, these prep races get more and more points, so this leaderboard is going to see a lot of changes over the next couple of months.
We're going to start in your neck of the woods. We're going to head out to Aqueduct for the Jerome. It's going to go as race number 8 on Saturday, and it's a 1-turn mile there with Kentucky Derby points to the top 5 finishers. That's going to happen for this race at Aqueduct and the one at Oaklawn Park. And just kind of talking about this race overall, Matt, I think to the outside, McAfee is going to be a major player in here. No surprise, David Aragona, who does the morning lines, he's as good as anyone out there. He installed him at 2-1 on the morning line, and it looks like the outside is kind of the strength of the field. You have the really proven Studley Do-Right, who's been in a bunch of these stakes races for a while. Cyclone State is kind of quicker. He's won a couple in a row. Those 3 towards the outside will probably take the bulk of the money in here.
Yeah, I would imagine so. And McAfee, we should mention, is the half-sibling to the likely horse of the year, Torpedo Anna, which is just yet another reason why that horse is going to take a lot of money. But I do think you can question just how good the competition is that this horse has faced to this point. You've not seen a lot of quality runners come back from those races and coming out of, quite frankly, a starter allowance race, which is not really a stakes prep that you would see. Cyclone State, very good horse, but hasn't really passed a lot of other horses before, and there is other speed to the inside that Cyclone State's going to have to deal with. So either it's going to have to be the speed of the speed and really push early, or learn how to rate. Studley Do-Right, like you said, has has the most back class, won the Nashua over this track going this trip. I actually think the horse I Can, the number 3 horse, might provide a little bit of value at 8-1. This one had a really tough go last time out, almost went down to its knees, got up and still ran, I thought, a really good race. So there's some opportunity for value. I really like Studley Do-Right in this spot as just a horse that just kind of runs his race every time.
Yeah, Matt will go with the 7-3-8-6. Looking at this race, I went to McAfee. Just thought that from the outside could sit a good trip, but I do agree with you. If you're looking for some value, maybe the 2 Mancetti or the 3 I Can. Those would be the horses I think could represent a little bit of value in this race. Studley Do-Right is the most proven, and McAfee right now, one of the busiest guys out there. You see him on college football. He's announcing on Monday Night Raw all over the place. He's got his show. So McAfee, he's the one to beat in the Jerome. Let's flip the page and head on over to the Smarty Jones at Oaklawn, because they have a really fun series of races, Matt. Like, that's kind of when I think of Oaklawn, I think of the 3-year-old series that they have leading into the Arkansas Derby. We've seen a lot of horses through the last few years use this road to success in the Kentucky Derby. Last year we saw Torpedo Anna and Mystic Dan both used success from Oaklawn Park in the Kentucky Oaks and the Kentucky Derby. So maybe one of these horses we're looking at could be a future Kentucky Derby winner. This field is a little interesting, because I think from a pace standpoint, we have to start talking about the one, Kale's Angel, who's one of the quicker in there. But I'm a little concerned that this horse stretching all the way out, Matt, with other speed in the race. A horse like the 6, Hot Property, is also pretty quick. I kind of look at the 6 as the horse to beat in here.
I agree. Aside from everything you mentioned, also trained by Brad Cox, owned by the West family. Here's a little stat for you. Over the last 5 years, Brad Cox runners owned by the West have won 45% of non-graded stakes races. Hello, that's not a bad number.
They'll get the job done.
This is one that's got a real big pedigree. And like you said, I'm a little concerned. Kale's Angel, I think an excellent sprinter, stretching out to 2 turns. I have my questions, going to be fading that one.
Yeah, and I think both of us feel like if they go too fast early on, like maybe Kale's Angel and Hot Property and a couple others hook up, it could set up for the horse to the outside, Full Battle, who may not be the best horse in 5 months, right? This might not be a Kentucky Derby horse, but as far as right now is concerned, he's the most proven in this race. He's a horse who you've seen against Stakes Company compete really well. He won the Springboard Mile. His 3 most recent races on the main track are all wins, and his 2 races on the turf are where he lost. So I think he fits really well in this group, Matt, and he could get a nice setup.
I agree about the setup. I think he absolutely fits. The races on the dirt progressively get better, and he answered a big question last time, which is he won over a fast track. His other 2 dirt appearances were over a wet track, so I think there's a lot going for him. Smaller connections, likely to actually be a pretty honest price come post time.
6815 for Maddie there. I'll put the 8 on top of the 6, 5, and 7. We had so much fun this week, but our show is now coming to an end. Make sure to follow along with Matt DeSantis and NYRA Bets on YouTube. We'll be back next week here with Alexa Zepp. Good luck to everyone, and let's crush it this weekend.
When nights grow long, we come together under these lights. A team, united by purpose. Fans bound by passion. Each holding a small flicker of hope in their hands. At SportsGrid, we believe that even the darkest nights can't dim the unity we share. One team, one stadium, one shining moment. This holiday season, we shine brighter together. Happy Hanukkah from all of us at SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun. I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.